Hi, this is Maydenfield over here in Tokyo. I produce the soundtrack to the brand new anime Rusted Armors, and today I'm going to talk about how I made the theme song to the whole thing. Let's go. So this anime is called Rusted Armors, or Sabiiro no Arma in Japanese. Episode 3's just aired, and this song actually features in all 3 episodes so far. This was one of my early demos, and it was the first song that I got a full-on yes from the director when he heard the track, which was really awesome. It was originally mysteriously codenamed M1 by the director, and he told me over Zoom that he wanted this song to become the symbol of the whole anime, like the emblem of the whole show. So no pressure. He said he wanted this to be a rock track, a fast, quick, energetic rock song, and also that it was going to be a kind of samurai period fantasy drama, which I knew already. In Japanese, Jidai Geki fantasy. So he wanted me to incorporate those elements. And that was the brief. And so them asking me to make the theme song to the whole thing just felt awesome. So the stakes were high on this one. I had to act really quickly. The clock was already ticking. Had to make a fast, energetic rock track, very hadena kanji in Japanese, which basically means over the top or extreme. So you take a melody or a drum line to the edge of where you think it works, and then just go over that edge, just tip it over a little bit. That's hadena kanji. And that kind of style fits a lot of anime soundtracks really well. So I wanted to make sure I combined the Japanese elements I've been using so far for the samurai spirit with the armor, the mysterious magical armor that's now appearing going forward through the episodes. So the songwriting I did for this song actually didn't start from scratch. When I heard what the director wanted when he told me, I already knew in my stockpile of ideas and memos and little song starts, I knew I had a track that would fit perfectly for this. So I set about just trying to begin with that. At the time, I also thought they wanted a vocalist to sing this song, so this actually has space for a vocalist to sing on. And I hope I get to do that one day. So yeah, being a rock track with the drums, the 2 guitars, and the bass line were going to be really important. So let's dive into my Pro Tools session for the theme song. So before we talk about the Japanese sounds, let's go straight to the drums, and specifically in this track, the rock drums. And for this, I used Slate drums. I bought this brand new for this song. I wanted something that had a really rock vibe to it, and I just played around with this for a little while, and it was sensational. So here's the part that I programmed myself. Nice rock vibe, and this was a little fill I found inside Slate drums. And that just worked perfectly as the intro to that part. So that's a combination of using a pre-programmed awesome fill from Slate with my own drumming in MIDI. Once I'd made a pattern I liked, I had to separate them out so I could mix the individual elements separately. So this is the kick. Here's the MIDI for the snare, and it bounces out like this. You can hear the little fill snares in between, gives it that kind of urgency. Same thing for the cymbals. So I've bounced out all the elements from the Slate drums to make one combined drum kit. And then just to give a little bit more punch to the kick, I've had a sample underneath it inside Battery, which is this one here. And when you combine them together, it just gives it a little bit more presence. And the other really important thing is to put some parallel compression on the drums. So I bounced out the whole drum line, and then put it through SSL, which is destroying the sound. Completely ruin the sound. But if you bring that really destroyed sound in underneath the main drums, the clean drums, it adds this whole vibe to it, which really brings out the drums in total. So it's subtle, but it's there in the whole mix. It makes a really big difference. So most of this song is anchored by these rock drums, but there is one important deviation, which is to be found in the intro, where I use an electronic breakbeat. 4 or 5 tracks here of breakbeat samples and things I've made, things I've collected, and sent them into this breakbeat mix here. That kind of feels energetic and pacey, sets up the song really well. And that's the drums. Now let's look at the bass. So a nice rock bass for this track. I've used Trillian for this. And that's going through some ozone here, the triode setting, just to excite the lows a little bit. And then some lo-fis just distorting. This is a Pro Tools plugin. You need a tiny, tiny bit to go a really long way. And then I bounced that one out. And then some more ozone. This is ozone 9 this time rather than 8, giving it some tape. And this makes a pretty big difference to the sound. So here's without. And here's with. extra harmonic content just worked really well inside the track. You combine the bass and drums together, you get this. So now let's move on to what complements that, which is the rock guitars. I think this was my first song to use a Native Instruments Les Paul rock guitar in a rock song. Power chords, muted chords, feedback, guitar solo, I did everything inside this Les Paul. So I bounced up those power chords right here. And then did the layer that goes on top of that in an octave higher up, which has a bit of melody to it. And then I add an extra one on top of that, which is this. And you combine those three together, you get this. So putting those extra layers on top of the power chords left and right gives it that really big, wide, dynamic, cinematic, kind of modern rock feel. I love rock guitars like this. And so now when you add the guitars to the bass and the drums, you get this. Which sounds awesome. And complementing the guitars come the synths. So sitting on top of all that music is a little kind of loopy arpeggiator sounding synth, which is this. And that just sits right on top of the music up until this point. Just gives it an extra dimension and feel. You miss it when it's not there. And in the second part of the drop, you get some lead synths. So this is kind of the drop of the track, and I've made a drop lead mix here for the lead sounds, a combination of Serum and Sylenth, predominantly some Nexus as well. Combined with this one. Combined with this one. So if we show you this one, for example, this is Serum. So this is really simple right here. But when you add especially Izotope Trash, you get that, which is really nice. The Izotope Trash on the iron setting, I think, and the dry wet is right in the middle. And I like the fact that those sounds are really distorted like a lead guitar, but they're not a lead guitar, they're electronic, and that gives it that kind of hybrid feel. That combination, I think, is really important for this song. And all of those combinations of Serum, Sylenth, and Nexus are going into this drop lead mix right here. And I'm hoping when you add that to the rest of the mix, it gives this flying cinematic feel. So when you add all those electronic sounds to the rest of the rock sounds, you get this. Which I think is pretty exciting. Now it's time for the Japanese sounds. I wanted the Japanese sounds to come really early doors in this song, so they come in right at the beginning in the intro. We have like a call to arms, a call to fight in the Shakuhachi sound. And that's a sample I found online, which is a flute, which I cut up, edited, tweaked, re-speeded, re-pitched, and then cut up even more to put it in the place that I wanted it to be to make this kind of sound. So it's not actually a shakuhachi, but it sounds like one and does the trick at the beginning of the song. And this plays over the breakbeat drums and a little rippling keyboard from the drop, which sounds like this. So now I'm thinking you're really set up for this world and what's going to come next in the song. And I combine that with some really big call to action drums, the Taiko. So 3 samples, this big boom, this fill, and this cashmere big snare. Combine them together, they sound like a taiko. Actual taiko wasn't really necessary, I just needed the feeling of them. Boom, 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 boom. War is coming. Koto is a really warm and friendly sounding instrument. It can be major or minor key. Doesn't have to be that sort of Japanese like pentatonic-y sounding scale. It can be anything you want it to be. And I thought that would be really good here as a mix between the good and bad forces in the drama. So here again is one more sound which actually isn't the sound it's supposed to sound like. So in this case the Koto, but it's not a Koto. So it even says intro shamisen here when it's not even a shamisen and it's supposed to be a Koto. This bit right here I thought sounded really cool, sounded really authentic. And then I combine that with an actual Koto. Also has that strumming sound. So this is the Koto made by Sonica. I think I mainly use the picking thumb articulation right here, and it just makes this beautiful, beautiful sound. And when you combine that Koto with the Taiko, with the electronics, and with the breakbeat, you get this. And then that goes into the rock. The other main note I think from this song is the dramatic key changes in verse, bridge and chorus. When I first came to Japan, I realized a lot of Japanese pop songs have this kind of interesting sudden key change, like total shifts up and down from verses to bridges to choruses. And I found that really interesting. It reminded me of a Spanish band who used to do that a lot. And I thought incorporating that here would kind of keep you on your toes, be really exciting and really fit anime. Which is fine, but then into the verse we have a complete change of vibe and a completely different key. Then I bring another key change when it goes from that verse to the bridge section. This adds a lot of drama, I find, and it's something that's really welcome in Japanese pop music. And then from the bridge going into the chorus, the drop, another change. It adds drama, and I think it adds something that is really welcome in J-pop, and especially in anime music. And this worked well enough here for the director to come back and say, please do that again in some of the songs going forward. So this was really important for me and for him as we were working together. I'd really like to put a vocal melody to this. It's right there. And that is how I made track 1, the theme song to the anime Rusted Armors. I listened to the very specific instructions the director had and applied that to my Pro Tools rig. Had to buy a few plugins to make that happen, but that's what you have to do. Whatever he wants, you have to give him. I hope this helped you, and I'll see you again soon. Yume wa jitsugen suru mono.